Hi, Peter Charles here, Hookfly Fly Fishing. And today we're going to tie one of my favorite flies. It's the Cahill wet fly. I learned about this pattern from a book called Forgotten Flies. It's a fantastic book if you want to look at the history of fly fishing and flies. And I tied this pattern up for a fly swap because it was straightforward and it had a history to it, so it was kind of cool. But didn't really fish it. And then one day I'm in Pennsylvania, I'm fishing a little run, decided to tie it on, and whoa, bang, fish after fish after fish. So quickly I thought, oh, well, okay, fine, I'm going to start fishing this thing. Now, if you happen to have seen my video on how to fish emergers for trout, you'll see that I caught quite a few fish in that video, and all of them came on this pattern. So it works. It's a great spring pattern. Anytime you see mayflies emerging, get this one out. Okay, let's take a look at our materials. We're using a Camasan B175 heavy trout hook. That's the same as a Mustad 3906B or any similar type wet fly hook. Our thread is a uni-thread 8/0 in black. Our tag is a uni-mylar gold silver. Our tail and wing is wood duck. Our hackle at the throat is a brown hen. And we're going to use a gray dubbing for the body. Now for the dubbing, you could use any kind of gray, anywhere from a light gray to a dark gray. This pattern is tied with a variety of shades of gray from light to dark. It'll depend a lot on your hatches that you're trying to imitate. So let's get started with tying on our thread. Just start our 8/0 black behind the eye. Clip off. When tying on mylar that is gold on one side, silver on the other, we want the gold to show in this case, so we tie it on with the silver facing us, and that way when we fold it over to begin to wrap it, it will flip over to the gold side. So I'll just pull that level with the thread. I'll wind that back, and I'll wind this forward out of the way. And you'll see as soon as I start to wrap this, it flips over to gold. Now I'll keep hold of that mylar and I'll unwrap those threads I just put in there, and then I'll bring that forward and work our thread back to about the point of the hook, and we'll just trim this off. The next step is to tie on our tail, so we're going to take our wood duck feather. I'm going to trim a little bit out of the tip. I'm going to pull it so we get these tips of the barbs lined up. There's our tail trimmed off. I'll try and get this to line up a little bit less than the length of the hook. Now I'll just double check to make sure that's on there straight, and then just wind that forward. And I'll trim that off. And then I'll just clean the end up. Run our thread back. Now, if I was laying on a nice, neat thread body, I wouldn't be doing this. I would be being very careful to lay a nice, smooth layer of thread so our floss body isn't lumpy. But I'm going to put dubbing over this, so it really doesn't matter. That'll be hidden by the dubbing. It's the little cheats that you learn as you go of what you have to be careful with and what you don't. I also like to tie my flies durable. So this is not a traditional way to do it, but it is a durable way to do it. Material and the tail is not likely to pull out, and my tag is not likely to come off. I'm just making a little rope here. I'm not laying this on thick, it's quite thin. Just push that right up to the end. And then I'll just use my rotary vise here. Now my tail will shift a little bit, so I'll just pull it around. There we go. Next step is to put in our throat. I'm going to use my hen feather. I'm not going to use a large amount. I'm going to pull that so it's straight. You can see the tips are now lined up. Peel that off. Pinch them together. I'm going to set those roughly the size of the gape. And as I spin that around, you'll see that it turns underneath. And I'll just trim that off. Got a stray there. There's our throat in position. Now we're ready for our wing. We go back to our wood duck. And again, you want your points of your wood duck to be lined up. And then I will bunch them together in this fashion. And I'll line them up so it's about just past the point, the end of the hook. There's a pinch loop here. And then I'll pull that into position. There we go. A couple more wraps, make sure everything's straight. I'll trim that off. I'll just clean that up. And finally the whip finish. There we have our Cahill wet fly ready to go fishing. Just a little bit of head cement, we're ready to go. Enjoy.